What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. James and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. James Haskell, Glenn Martin, and we're really excited to talk about camp, give you all the updates, keep you up to date. Of course, that's our job here to make sure you guys are updated on your Baltimore Ravens stuff. But before we do, take a second, give us a subscribe, give us a like. We appreciate all the love from all you guys. Leave all your comments below. We love interacting with you. So, Glenn, I think there's three legs to this stool that we're going to talk about when it comes to camp. Will be the main pillars of this conversation. And one of them is going to be the PUP list. I want to start there, if that's all right with you. Yeah. I think it's important, and I think it is also causing some people some angst. So I think it's important for us to define like what it really means in the long term for the Ravens going into the season, and why we should or shouldn't be concerned. So if I'm not mistaken, there's 6 players on PUP. You got that list in front of you, I'm assuming.
I do. Yes. That list none of these names on the list were a huge surprise, at least in my opinion. But I do want to talk about some of the guys who weren't on the list who maybe, we should be kind of celebrating. But first and foremost, left tackle Ronnie Stanley's on the PUP list. Outside linebacker Tyus Bowser, cornerback Marcus Peters, both running backs J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and safety are Darius Washington were all put on the PUP list. Now, I want people to understand that the PUP list is not something that they can't come off of at any moment at this point. This isn't like the PUP list when you're put on it for the regular season where it forces you to miss, I believe, 6 games. This is just something that they can easily be removed at any time and rejoin their teammates at practice. Seems precautionary. But yeah, so far, those are the 6 guys who are currently on the list.
And I don't want to diminish what you just said there because that's important. People think PUP, beginning of the season, they think, they're done till what, week 6?
Yeah.
It's not the case, guys. We just want to reiterate. This is something based on where we're at in the season. It's still preseason that these folks can be removed from this list. So, yeah, I'm not surprised either. But the biggest reason, I wanted to spend some time talking about it was because of people's definition of PUP. Now, the follow-up thought that comes to my mind, I'll give you my thought on it, and then I want to get yours, is really around who has the highest likelihood of coming back the soonest. And so of these guys, to me, I think, if you look at Marcus Peters, you look at, I know this sounds crazy, but even a Ronnie Stanley, based on the fact that, it's been 2 years really, right? Like, I know he had the surgery again and things like that, but I think those 2 guys have a good chance of getting the most run in camp. What's your take on that? Do you agree with me, disagree with me, or do you think they're going to take it way easier with these guys and none of them get any run in camp?
Well, I guess the question is, why is each guy on the PUP list? Like, what individually put them or earned them a role or a spot on the PUP list? And I think Ronnie, at this point, what I've been hearing is that he needs to continue to build strength before he's ready to participate in those team activities. But if that's the only thing left to do, I think it's got to be somewhat encouraging. But my question would be, if it's just building strength, why can't he participate with his teammates? That unless they're worried that the lack of strength could lead to a reoccurring of an injury or a different injury, that could be the case. But I don't think anyone should be surprised at Tyus Bowser. I think he's probably a guy who's, I know that the timeline for Achilles injuries say that he might be ready, but it's still, that's cutting it awfully close when you tear it the last game of the season. Now, the good thing is Marcus Peters, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, those were all in the beginning of the season, before the season. So I think those are the 3 guys I look at as the prime candidates. But what I'm hearing is that Gus Edwards' injury was a little bit more, I don't know, a little more severe than J.K. Dobbins, and so he might be
which is crazy to me. I've heard like contradicting reports on that because other people have said that J.K.'s knee was absolutely in shambles, right? Multiple ligaments and stuff like that. And you think about Gus, and not to diminish, what it was, but you didn't hear the same things about Gus until more recently.
Yeah,
right?
much more recent.
It is very interesting, and who knows? Could be a little smoke screen from the old Ravens.
Could be. But I would say that the three most likely to come back soonest would be Peters, Dobbins, and then Edwards in that order.
Okay.
And then I think the last one that'll come back is Tyus Bowser, only because of the how late the injury was. But Ronnie, I think, will be second to last to come back because of how important he is and because of how I think nervous they are about him. When he first goes out there, nobody can tell me that John, Eric DaCosta, Ozzie aren't going to be nervous watching him first suit up against, live competition. But I think the one who's got the toughest task ahead of him is our Darius Washington. That guy is in a safety room that is absolutely loaded from top to bottom with talent from, high-end talent to deep depth. And, man, I think the more he's on this, or the longer he's on this list, it just lessens his chances of making the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. It's already historically an uphill climb for him anyway, and then this makes it even tougher. So I'm interested to see how this develops and what the order is in which these guys get out there. My last question my last discussion point when it comes to PUP before we kind of move on to the other legs of the stool, as I've so eloquently described it, is is simply this. Is there any of these guys that are playing week one that get no run in the preseason? Not preseason games. Sorry, I should specify like camp. Or do you think that at some point we will see all of the ones that we expect to be there week one?
Yeah, I think they have to get ready somehow. You can't have no camp, no preseason, and then suit up week one. That would be not just. You got to learn. You got to learn the plays. You got to learn your teammates. You can't just be out there, and you got to build your technique. You continue to get better. They believe in the 1% each day mantra that John always preaches. You get 1% better each day, and by the end of it, you're kind of where you want to be. So yeah, absolutely, they have to practice. If they don't do it in training camp, they will be PUP listed until they can show in practice that they're ready to get out there on Sundays. Because there ain't nothing like game day speed, Jimbo.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And speaking of PUP lists, obviously, this is what we're talking about. You talked about our Darius Washington. I think that our Darius is the only one that we don't see week one. I know that's optimistic.
Okay. Tyus is the one that has.
Yeah. So our Darius and Tyus, excuse me, yeah, because obviously Tyus was at the end of the season, but I think both of them end up, being put on PUP for the season. But I think the other guys we see in week one, I think they see week one action. And I'm excited for it, but
I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let me ask you this, and this goes kind of hand in hand with this list here. The Ravens also signed Corey Clement, formerly of the Philadelphia Eagles, the running back. Does that make you any more concerned that there's maybe some delays in getting JK or Gus back to camp?
No, because isn't McCrary no longer here?
Is he not? No, is he no longer here?
Let me double check real quick.
Okay.
And make a note. I feel like for some reason
it could be. Sometimes I'm on ESPN's roster, and sometimes it can take a little bit of time for it to catch up. But McCrary's still listed on the roster currently.
I feel like they made another move that in that room, but so I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, we're always deep in the running back room. Need camp legs at the end of the day, right?
You think it's just for camp?
I mean, he's been a contributor in the past, with the Eagles, but yeah, I think it's mainly for camp.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, the only thing is I guess it could mean that if they're a little bit late to camp, that at least at the very least he's got a shot to compete. Because I think Corey Clement has had some moments.
He definitely
in his career.
Was he the one that caught that touchdown in the end zone from Nick Foles? Was that Clement in the Super Bowl?
I don't think it was.
You remember it was the running back. I can't remember what running back it was.
You talking about the one who threw it to Nick Foles? Because didn't Nick Foles catch it?
Yeah, Nick did catch one, but it was a touchdown to a running back. It was anyway. Can't remember if it was Clement or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be an uphill climb because he's got to leapfrog Tyler Beatty. He's got to leapfrog Mike Davis, in my opinion. But I don't know. Could be a sign that maybe there's a little bit of a delay. We'll wait and see. I hope that's not the case. But let's get into some of the other things. Another thing I thought was encouraging that was fun to see. I was glad to see it, is it wide receiver Devon Williams was reinstated from the did not report list. So not sure what was going on that caused him to be late to show up, but I'm sure him and the team have discussed it. And if he's back at practice, then obviously his reason was satisfactory enough to be late to camp. Who knows what that reason was, but I'm happy he's there because the Ravens clearly have a spot, their fifth receiver spot, that I think is open for competition with a bunch of young guys. And I'm hopeful that it's a guy like Devon Williams who's bigger, who can high point a ball, because that seems like the missing link right now of the locks that we consider to make this roster. None of them, I think, are taller than, 6 foot tall, maybe 6'1" if you're being generous. But I'd like to see some size added to the room, and Devon Williams could be a guy who takes that job. And a lot of people are hype about this guy.
They are. They have been, since he's been around town, that's for sure. I'm with you as well. At this point, I think I'm going to get a shirt that just simply says high point the ball. Because it's so needed, and we've been beating the drum on this for years and years and years. And so, I agree with you there. It'll be interesting to see, and it's nice to see his opportunity to compete. Conversely to that, Iman Marshall has been released by the Baltimore Ravens. So his tenure with the Ravens, while injury-riddled and a lot longer than all of us anticipated based on his injuries, just never panned out. I would be interested to know if he ever gets another chance in the NFL. You hope for the best for the guy, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So you hope for nothing but the best for Biggie out there.
Yeah, I mean, if they do give him a shot, it's a workout because you can't go off of anything you saw on the field. He's been here since 2019. He's played in a total of 4 snaps on defense.
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing too, is like when you're that injured, it's gotta be hard when it's years on years on years of injuries compounding one another. How do you get back? How do you stop yourself from getting out of shape? And then how do you get back in shape? Like that whole journey itself, outside of just the rehab, right?
Yeah.
Once you're healthy,
then you got to get your game right.
Right. And so, man, I respect the grind there. Like I can only imagine. So hoping for nothing but the best for Iman Marshall, but it certainly doesn't look like he'll be here with the Baltimore Ravens. And then there is another move from the salary cap standpoint.
That's a big move, Jimbo.
Big move and definitely noteworthy. And in regards, Studio 44 himself, Glenn, what's going on with Marlon Humphrey?
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey. The Ravens have converted $8.965 million of Marlon's contract, of his $10 million base salary, I should say, into a signing bonus, which creates $7.172 million in salary cap space for the Ravens, which is absolutely gigantic. The Ravens were dead last in available cap space before this move, had around $700,000 in available space, which is obviously not enough to get through a season when there will be some injuries, there will be a necessity, but also they have the opportunity to maybe sign some camp casualties from around the league to help supplement your roster with maybe an experienced veteran. So this now allows them to have the flexibility to maybe target a guy who they think can make a difference and kind of push them over the edge. They now have a total of $8.46 million in available cap space. And that could be just enough to maybe go add to the pass rush room, maybe go add to the wide receiver room. And instead of having a bunch of young guys compete for that fifth and final spot, maybe add a veteran to that room to see what he can do in the mix. But also, Jimbo, is this a sign that maybe JPP is on his way?
Hey, I'd love it, man. I think that there's a potential of that. I think, once again, if I had to choose between a wide receiver and a pass rusher, I'm going with JPP based on what's out there in the market. So yeah, glad to see we have some flexibility. I mean, at the same time, it's kind of those moves. It's like, got to keep the lights on too, right? Like just to be able to operate, we need some more breathing room. We were under $1 million in salary cap space. But the other thing I want to mention too, Charlie Kohler is suffering what's being classified as a sports hernia, and he's expected to miss some time, is what it sounds like. But there's another thing I wanted to mention here, Glenn, and I don't know if there's any shade being thrown here. Probably not. I mean, Jeff Zrebeck has retweeted an article from the Arizona Cardinals that coincidentally 7 minutes ago, Hollywood Brown has been placed on active non-football injury, the NFI, the non-football injury list, with a hamstring is what they're calling it.
Sounds familiar.
And so I'm not wanting the guy to be injured, but in my mind, it isn't beyond me to think that Hollywood was like, dang, it's hot out here, dude. I'm in the desert. I'll be ready for Sunday.
But don't they practice indoors?
I don't know, but it's still all hot.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. I mean, look, this is nothing new. He's always had those injuries or issues with the hamstring. But hey, you know, that he's a Cardinal, so I ain't worried about him.
Anyway, I just thought it was pretty funny that Jeff took the time to retweet it just so you guys know. You know what I mean?
Now let me ask you if there's any worry around this other story, Jimbo, because this has me a little bit. I guess I'm not that concerned, but it's got me raising my eyebrow right now. The Ravens outside linebacker David Ajabo is officially.
Right. I'm glad you brought this up.
He's officially a holdout right now. The second round pick has yet to sign a contract and did not report when he was due in on Tuesday. So he's the only player, Jimbo, that did not report as of Tuesday. So it's clear he's holding out. But is this an element, is this something we should be concerned about? Or is the fact that he's not able to practice with his teammates anyway make it less of a concern that he's not here?
Yeah, I mean, when do you consider it a holdout when he's just coming to rehab?
But he would be in the meetings.
Technically speaking. Yeah, I guess that's true.
And he's not in the meetings, which is a big thing for a rookie. Yeah.
It does concern me a little bit. I'll tell you why it concerns me. Because I feel like when there's a guy at this point who's worried about, not that he's trying, I'm asking him to take less or anything like that, but when you hit your big contract, you want to take every dollar, penny, nickel, dime, peso, whatever you can grab, right? Like, I get that. And I guess you should do that with every contract. Like, I'm not asking him to leave money on the table, but it worries me from an injury perspective. Is he concerned? What if he's concerned this is his only contract? And what if he's concerned he can't, you know what I mean? What if mentally he has some reservations behind, shoot, can I really get after it? You know what I mean? I don't know. I just
need to get every dime out of this.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Or maybe it's purely agent driven. Yeah. I don't know who his agent is, but we know how, I think a lot of athletes sometimes athletes have to be reminded the agent works for them and not the other way around. I think agents sometimes can be a little pushy with their clients and kind of think that they know what's best for them, even when their client may not agree. And sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. And maybe his agent is just saying, look, I saw this 1 second rounder. I think there was 1 second rounder who got well above slot. Well, not even well above, but above slot and above expectation on a different team. And it's kind of create a cascading effect around the league that now every agent of a second round pick wants that same above the bar type of payment. I just hope it doesn't go too far. This guy needs to be in meetings. He needs to be with his teammates. And even if he's not participating in team drills, he'd still be doing individual stuff, and he'd be in every single meeting, which is important. So, I don't like seeing it, Jimbo. I understand it's a business, but I hope this ends soon.
Yeah, and just to give you some update, his agent is actually former wide receiver Bryce Treggs from the Eagles.
Okay.
Who works for Athletes First. And I'm trying to remember, is that the same agency that represents Rashad Bateman? I don't want to put that. I'm saying that with a caveat. Don't quote me on it. I'm trying to find it, but I do think it is. I know Bateman also switched agencies. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it is. But don't quote me on it at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Athletes First, it represents Rashad Bateman. Yes. So anyway, I don't, that's just ancillary information. But it does get me a little concerned. It gets me bummed because I feel bad for him. It's not what he envisioned. It's not what the Ravens envisioned. And I don't know who does more damage to who, right? Like, is he doing more damage to his long-term relationship with the team? Does it not matter? Is it all water under the bridge? Like you said, is it all agent-driven and that's how the team sees it? Maybe I'm just not the best negotiator, but if I'm him, I just want to build all the goodwill I can with my team, all the good vibes, all the good. And I'm not advocating leaving money on the table, right? But is it possible to still be in negotiations and be at those meetings? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what if what if it? I mean, I guess it could have happened in the last day, but did it take the Marlin thing to get the necessary space?
That's what I was thinking too. I'm sure I was thinking initially that has something to do with it, but I don't know. At this point, he should be able to sign, right?
Yeah. Now, what's the excuse?
Yeah. So, because that was going to be my initial thing. I was going to say, well, maybe it was just driven by Marlin and the financial side of it. But they've got that figured out now. So, they have the money there.
Let's hope he gets back in there, man, because we need all the pass rush we can get. And I know he might not be ready even at best, in the first couple weeks, but come November, maybe we start to see David Ajabo out there opposite Odafe Owe. And man, that is going, I don't care what anyone says, that combination, those two guys together are going to be terrifying in the near future. So yeah, let's get back out there. But the good news is that's the only guy. So that, I guess, is at least, shiny moment. Now, tomorrow, team activities begin. If I'm not mistaken, I think Wednesday team activities start, which is exciting. We'll start getting some rumblings out of camp. And, of course, this Saturday is the open practice at M&T Bank Stadium that not only has the practice but also has a fireworks show following the practice. It's free to the public. I think you may pay $5 for parking. We've already had a couple people reach out to us, direct message, and we will be meeting up, take some pictures, say what's up, meet the crew. So if you do go to the practices, hit us up on any of the social media platforms, and we'll certainly try and find a way where we can meet up and take some pictures.
Yeah, we're super excited for it. Can't wait to hang out with you guys and see the Ravens get out there and practice. One small note.
Yeah.
Figuratively small, not literally small.
Okay.
Michael Pierce. We saw him. He's here. He's alive. He's ready to practice, healthy. Let's go. Let's go. Mr. Fire Hydrant himself. Let's get at it. I can't wait to see Michael Pierce out there. He looked happy. He looked healthy. He looked under 390. So Let's do it, Mike. And we know Mike watched the show. Mike, I say that with all the love and affection in the world. We're happy because we know how it goes. Trust me, I put it on like a Labrador. I get it, bro. So happy to see you're in shape, my man.
Yeah, and we know the impact he can make on the field.
Yes.
So, yes, big news. I'm glad you mentioned it. He shouldn't be his rating in Madden 88 overall. Not bad at all. But yeah, let us know what you guys think about everything that's going on in camp. Ajabo, is this a worry? Is this not? Is the PUP list something that got you a little more concerned, or is this kind of as expected? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll talk soon.
See you.